Okay. Today I'll talk about an old Choctaw tradition that we no longer practice, probably for good reasons, I guess too. It began getting phased out, I guess, like late 1700s, and by the early to mid 1800s, it was no longer being practiced. There was a group of people that were once called the Foni, Aioa, or the bone pickers. Now, in ancient Choctaw belief system, we had every person had a shilumbish and a shilup, and those notice those words sound somewhat similar because they were somewhat related. Shilumbish was, I guess, mostly can be easily translated as spirit, and the shilup as shadow. Our early belief system was every person had a spirit and a shadow, and the spirit and shadow was a part of our being, part of our person. And it was believed that when a person died, the spirit and the shadow, the slumbish and the shilup, would leave the body and go wherever it's supposed to go. A funny thing about the shadow, it was also believed that when a person sleeps at night, when they dream, it is their shadow that is leaving their body, and your dream is what your shadow is experiencing or what it's seeing or what it's doing. It's somewhat interesting if you're into outer body experiences and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very interesting belief from back when. So the Foni Aioa, the bone pickers. When a person died, pre-Trail of Tears, pre-1800s, when a person died, the women of the family would prepare the body, and the men would build almost like a scaffold. It was about 6 feet high, just a wooden, four wooden poles, 6 wooden poles holding up a platform, about 6 feet up. And it was built about 30-40 feet from the house, so it wasn't near the house, but it was close to the house. And once the body was cleaned and washed and women prepared, whatever ceremonies we did back 200 years ago, 300 years ago, the body was then placed on top of this platform, and the body would remain there for a few months. A small fence was placed around the platform, and a fire was built near it, and the family could go there throughout the weeks and months, and sort of pay homage to their deceased loved one. The fence around the platform was sort of made so to keep the children out and everything, and the elevated platform, being elevated 6 or 7 feet above the ground, was to keep other animals and stuff out of the platform. But the body would begin to decompose. After a few months, the bone pickers. The bone pickers was a group of people, male and female. I'm not 100% sure how this group of people was chosen. Did they choose to be bone pickers, or maybe it was a specific clan of people or family group that was sort of their just inherited job? Don't really know. But the bone pickers, after a few months, would then climb this platform and deflesh the bones of this person. Now, the bone pickers, they had their fingernails, their growth fingernails long. That's one of the traits of a bone picker. They had long fingernails, and they had certain tattoo markings. I'm not sure what those markings were, what kind of tattoos they were, I'm not sure if anyone really knows anymore. Again, this is pre-photography. Uh, yeah, and this is probably information that's sort of been the details have been lost through time. But they had long fingernails and certain tattoos, and they would go on top of the scaffold and begin defleshing the bones. Then there was a box or basket. I'm sure early on in our history it was probably a basket. Later on, more with contact with Europeans, probably became a box. But either way, the bones would been gathered into a basket or box, brought down from a scaffold. That night, the bone pickers would prepare a feast, and the family would eat. The scaffold would be burned to the ground. Often the flesh had been left on top of the scaffold. The platform would be burned to the ground. And after the feast and everything, there was I guess what they call it, a mortuary. There was a building. It's like a little hut. It's about 3 feet off the ground. It often opened at both ends. Sometimes open at one end. But either way, this little, I'm going to call it a mortuary, or I'm not sure 100% what, I just can't remember. It's called something. I just can't remember top of my head what it's called. Anyway, the boxes, each family, I believe, had one, or a family group would have one. And they would then place this basket or this box of bones inside of it. And that's where the remains of the loved ones would have been kept. Now, I do believe also that once a person had passed away, their name was no longer spoken. They're no longer talked about. I think it was after the bone pickers did their job and the bones were brought down. That's when that began. The person was no longer talked about. So, but yeah, that's the story of the bone pickers, the Choctaw bone pickers. Now, it's a tradition that's no longer used. By the, I guess, 1820s, the bone picking part of this process was no longer used. And I do not know if during the Trail of Tears, if any of the bones of deceased relatives were brought to Indian Territory, which became Oklahoma, or if they were simply left in traditional lands in Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. So, don't know. But that's the story of the Foni, Aioa, the bone pickers. Bislatiki.